You're listening to the Industry Alchemist podcast. The definition of alchemy is a seemingly magical process of transformation or creation. This podcast exists to hear the stories of entrepreneurs, business owners, and leaders doing just that in their industry. We hear about the journey of the brave souls carving a new path, moving their industry and our lives forward in a seemingly magical way. I'm your host, Matt Brower, co-founder and managing broker of Column Commercial Partners, helping companies save money on their real estate.
Hello, guys. This is Matt Brower, your host of the Industry Alchemist podcast. This episode's guest is an entrepreneur, financial advisor, philanthropist, New York Times best-selling author, and thought leader. He has worked to build his brand both personally and in business for over 40 years, having started Carson Wealth in 1983, which also includes Carson Coaching and Carson Partners, which we'll hear more about. He has a very big vision for our collective future and a platform to make a big impact. I had the pleasure of meeting Ron Carson, better known by some as Omani, at Burning Man this year. And Ron, I wasn't able to make your retreat that you just hosted at your ranch last month, so I'm really glad that we get to have this time together. So appreciate you being on the show.
Matt, thank you for having me. It was obviously before we went on, I was just talking about you, and we did an incredible breath work with Finian at Burning Man. But I mean, those of you that know Matt, a sculpted body. We're just talking about. Yeah, it's like, And matter of fact, Matt, how old are you?
44.
44. Yeah. I mean, like you could, you looked amazing at any age, and you've got a body like a 20-year-old. So,
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm a big believer and preacher of, I tell a lot of people, moving energy through the body is so important. It's every bit as important as whatever spiritual practice somebody does. It's all connected. The more we can, open our bodies up and move our body and build strength and just be strong, both physically and mentally, it just carries everything forward and really helps me in so many different ways. So thanks for the acknowledgement.
It's actually, you mentioned the fact that in 93, I started a coaching group within financial services. And in those days, everybody was focused, all the experts, on time management. I said, yeah, time management's important, but let's talk about energy management.
Yeah.
How's your energy? What are you doing to keep moving? What are you doing to mentally, stay focused? Because I would rather you be a poor time manager and excellent energy management. If you can get them both together, it's really powerful.
That's huge. Yeah. That's a great way to look at that. If I miss 3 days in a row of working out or just moving my body in some way, my energy level just depletes big time. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So real quick, tell me about the different entities that you have within your company. There's Carson Wealth, Carson Coaching, Carson Partners. How do they all work together?
Yeah. So the Reader's Digest version of this, Matt, is I grew up on a farm just north of Omaha. Up until I was 17, I thought I was going to be a farmer. My parents went broke in 1982. Interest rates were, people think rates are high now. The prime was 21.5%.
Holy shit.
Yeah. First house I remember my wife and I bought, we got a special deal. We got a mortgage for 11.75% because we were first time home buyers. But it broke my parents and pretty much most farmers during that time. And my dad, only time I've ever seen him cry is when he told me, I can't even support our family anymore. We're going to have to find something else to do. And I was literally, not long after that, I was in the library reading Money Magazine. It said top professions of the future. At the top of the list was to become a CFP, a certified financial planner. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what, I'll do that. I mean, I really love to tell people I put all this research into it, but I knew I wanted the opposite. I love farming, but what I didn't like about it is you were always greasy and dirty because we overhauled and we did our own welding. And so we'd wash our hands with diesel fuel, just to get some of
to get the grease off.
Yeah.
I
wanted something I could wear a suit and tie every day. So I decided on financial services. Incidentally, I was at a event in Napa Valley Wine Auction a few years ago. And a lady at a pre-party said, where are you from? Nebraska. What do you do financial? How'd you get into that? And I said, well, I told her that story. And she had the weirdest look on her face. She said, I was at Money Magazine. I wrote that article. So you talk about
no way. Are
the
you kidding me?
effect. No, true story.
Wow.
True story. It's like, whoa. I mean, what are the odds of that?
Yeah. Talk about alignment. Jesus. Wow.
And so I went down. I actually went down to play football for Nebraska, and that year became injured and started cold calling out of my phone book and started what today has become Carson Group. And then 10 years later, because of the success I'd had in building that business, I had other advisors wanted to learn from me. And at first, I would just say, come out and spend a few hours, and then that cascaded to where it was a business. And so in 93, I launched Carson Coaching. And then that same group of advisors were terrible at implementing. The thing I was frustrated about is we'd coach them what to do, but they couldn't execute on it. A lot of them could. Some of them could, but a lot of them couldn't. And then 2012, I launched Partners, which was just technology and everything they needed to where they could plug in. Because most advisors, like myself, we were good salesmen. We probably weren't the best advisor. The best advisors were attorneys, CPAs, people that had no ability to sell anything. So they were technically the strongest, but had no assets. Yeah. And then the best salespeople had all the assets, but weren't doing the best job for their clients. I go, what if I could bring the two together? What if I could bring the best storytellers along with the strongest technical experts in each area? And we've had, we're a $31.2 billion RIA today because of Partners. It's really fueled our growth. And I would say, the partners we're attracting are unlike, we have a community and a culture around really, I'll call it humbly confident. We love to say, if you want to be a part of Carson, it's a caring but not coddling culture. And we want people to be humbly confident, but we want people to give it their all for each other, even when it's not convenient for them to do so. And that's really been the magic that's allowed us to really thrive in our space, and collectively as an RIA, as a coaching group, and as a platform that advisors are able to join.
And are you, how much guidance do you like to have with your partners? Do you let them kind of run the show with regard to that type of thing, or do you have some guidance to offer?
A lot of, you mean as far as the technical aspect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we love to tell, our partners will tell you that the reason they join Carson is that we're big enough we can do anything, but we're small enough they can be heard. So if you think about our value proposition today, it's advisors that are in the trenches every day that will come up with a great idea, but they don't have the ability to execute on it. And I have a bunch of CEOs that'll be here this week. We do all kinds of training. We get together with our partners all the time, and they give us exactly what we need to continue to evolve the value proposition, to make them the most productive, and to put the client's interest first and really deliver upon that as a true fiduciary. We love to say we sit on the same side of the table as a client. So I'd say they don't want to do that. That's why they join. And when they have a really great idea, they've got someone to actually take and implement it into the fabric of what we do every day.
Wow. Incredible. And how many partners do you have at this point?
So we have,
probably ever moving, but
we have 500-ish.
Wow.
And we're in every state in the United States today, and growing rapidly, but not as fast as we could. We're really conscious about bringing in the right partners. I always tell new partners, my litmus test is when you walk into a partner meeting, or all the partners are going to come up to me and say, what a great ad. And especially how critical having great communities are. We're not for everyone. We're really for the right kind of individual that wants to be part of something bigger than themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. It seems super unique in your industry. Is that true?
I think it is. It really is. Back in 93, when I started the coaching group, the reason we were successful is I was willing to share everything I was doing, everything that allowed me to have the success I had, which was different. Like if you would have went to some of the conferences, they'll give you just enough to be impressed with what they're doing, but not enough to go execute it on their own. And even the books that I've written, I'm like, I lay it all out there. People say, how can you give all your secrets away? I said, well, my belief is first of all, very few people execute on it. And those that do will make my ideas better and bring it back and give me some of their ideas. And that's a really virtuous, positive cycle of what's created this environment of coming back to the humbly confident. None of us think we have all the answers, but collectively, we can really come up with some great ideas and execute them fairly fast.
Wow, that's like a perfect example of living from abundance as opposed to scarcity, you know?
Amen.
Incredible. Yeah. Wow. So actually, I wanted to ask you, I was trying to pull off being there at your retreat that you hosted at your ranch. It's in Omaha, or is it just outside of Omaha?
It's an hour north of Omaha.
Okay.
It's an hour.
And I just couldn't pull it off. So tell me about, like, I know that you had Finney in there as well, and you give another one of those rock star breathwork sessions.
Did you send you the video from it?
Yes. Oh my God. Incredible.
It was, and actually, if you haven't seen it, I'll send you a highlight video. We call it a gathering. So we do retreats up there. We do these health retreats, these 4-day retreats, lots of different healing modalities. And, you know, it's a small group of people, but the gathering was around people that I had met and many of our community members had met. And we had 324 people converge on the ranch for 4 days. Think of it as a Burning Man without the, you know, we had food and water and shelter already in place for everybody, right?
Yeah.
You've been to Burning Man. No, every time I've had a totally different experience at Burning Man, all amazing, but hard, right? All of them have been hard. I've not had an easy one, you know, yet. And so the day was filled full of really, workshops and learning and art and just fellowship. And then the evening we had like 11 different music acts play, and we had so much fun. And we're going to have it every single year. Next year is going to be first week in October. This year it was like the latter part of October. But, the whole idea here was to bring like-minded people together. I had in one of my recent journeys, I had this aha moment that, the world is so fucked up today with our leadership. I mean, I look at, I don't think anybody thinks Trump or Biden or really any of the candidates, to run our country is really operating from love and abundance. They're all operating from fear and scarcity. So what happens is nobody trusts each other, right? And with good reason. And so when you don't trust, you hoard resources. And that's in part why we have so many people suffering on our planet today, is because we hoard resources. We waste a lot of resources. And my idea around the gathering is, what if we could bring people together that are operating under this love, abundance, and awe operating system, and let's change from the inside out. I made a plea the Saturday evening there, is that I would love to bring together. And one of the things I realized too, Matt, and we even see this at Burning Man, is ego always gets in the way because we're human. We all have ego, right? And even at this beautiful, like, we can set in medicine and we'll love each other, and then we get back and integrate into our real life, and all of a sudden it's like, I want to do it my way. I want to do it this way, and this way is better than that way, and here's my opinion. And someone said something to me last year that, I'll meet you where our souls intersect. It was actually a sister, Yana, who I was actually she was with me at the breath work and and I go, wow, that's such a powerful way to phrase it. I've always said that, as humans, we have way more in common than we have difference. Yet everybody gets all of us fighting over the few differences we have. And I said, can you imagine taking two people, putting them on Mars, two people that hate each other the most on Mars, but they don't know the other one's there. And 6 months later, they run into each other. They're going to be the best friends ever.
Exactly. Right? It's hilarious.
Best friends.
Yeah.
So back to this call out I had is, I want to bring together tribes and communities and allow us to come together and agree on some ways that we can live with each other and interact with each other, because most of them are pretty easy to agree on. And then these communities can retain their local personality. They like doing it this way versus that way. They like this location versus that location. and being able to move within these communities that have adopted these, let's call them Burning Man Plus principles, in order of ways to do business with each other, interact with each other, care for one another. And I've got this this community, the piece of land that I want to build this on. I want to build a healing center. I want to do organic farming. I want people to be able to come and be there for a day or for a month or for a lifetime if they so choose.
Yeah.
Follow the community with a caring but not coddling kind of environment. You know, people want to show up and be productive. Yeah. Create art and create music and create all kinds of beautiful things there, and really have a communal living and eating. And so this was my first attempt at starting to bring and attract those kinds of leaders together to opt into a worldwide community. And once we have our principles and can live with principles, then we can, real change isn't going to happen from the top down. It'll happen from the inside out. It'll happen from a soul connection first and then radiate out from there, because we know the way it's being done today is not working.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's a lot of people that talk about, people that are on a spiritual path talk about, remove at a certain point, you want to remove yourself from the matrix world and, move into this, what you're describing of, regenerative living and food farm and healing, which is so important. And what I'm kind of thinking about is, I wonder if it is actually important for some of us, like you, like me, that we, not necessarily remove ourselves from the matrix world, but bring this love and abundance to the matrix world. For those listeners that don't know what I'm talking about, it's the ego-based, fear-based way that we operate in the world, that the world operates with money and all that. Show people the way it can be done by continuing to be involved in that. And somebody like yourself, building the massive company that you have and having had the success and building the platform to have a big impact in that, just such an opportunity, So really appreciate your moving into this space.
I think you're right on, Matt. Like to completely cut ourselves off from it, it's really an education process. I mean, I was so far on the other side of this, and couldn't fathom where I'm at today, philosophically and spiritually. I mean, I grew up, going back to the house I grew up in, it was an atheist household. My parents didn't believe in God, didn't believe in anything. And when I married my wife, I joined a Lutheran church. I became baptized, but it's not that I didn't believe, but I didn't have a strong belief of anything. And quite frankly, I did not enjoy being preached at. Go to the occasional service to support Jeannie, and then the straw that broke the camel's back. I was very close with my father-in-law. His name was George, one of the best humans on this planet. I was very close with him. When he died, they wouldn't let me say anything at his funeral. It's just it's policy of the church. And I'm like, man, what kind of, creator do we really believe that doesn't want us to show love and every opportunity that we can for one another? But now my spiritual walk has been really powerful, and I've met incredible people from all walks of life. And you hit the nail on the head that I want to engage them, because if I can help shift someone's operating system from fear and scarcity, and the reason I believe I'm uniquely positioned to do this, because I made the move. I was here, and through a lot of help, I was able to move. I'm launching a new business called Total Transcendent Living, which is going to try to combine all of this stuff next year. Helping. And the whole purpose, this isn't to make money. This is literally to be able to shift the operating systems of people like myself through education, and been able to show them and have them feel and see and experience a whole other level of consciousness.
Yeah.
That they've never, I never even knew it existed. And then once I did, I was like, oh my gosh, not only do I believe, I know.
Yeah.
I know that we return home. I know where we came from. And I was just having lunch today with a friend of mine. It's like, it just changed my life in such a way. I feel a little bit like Alice in Wonderland when she popped into the new world, and it was beautiful. And, take out the Wicked Witch. It's just, everything was colorful and like, okay, I feel like that's the world I have found with these elevated levels of consciousness. And like this morning, I did the Rasha machine, which I don't know if you're familiar with Rasha.
No.
It's a scalar energy machine, which Dr. Jerry came up with this. It's phenomenal. If you're ever in Nebraska, I will it'll allow you to experience a different level of consciousness. And it's, most people have had awake, sleep, and then twilight.
Yeah.
Well, there's others. And a lot of, you don't necessarily need a psychedelic to get there. As breath work can get you there.
Yeah.
Meditation can get you there. Rasha. And then Doc North that has the shift wave machine.
Is this the bio energy?
It vibrates. It vibrates, and it resets your energy, and it too can put you in a different state of consciousness. And the point is, when I started feeling these other dimensions of consciousness, I was like, the way I could think, the clarity that I had around things that were important. It's almost like being an astronaut. And if you talk to an astronaut that's been up and looks back at Earth, they immediately have this realization that nothing can be that big that we can't figure it out. When you're looking at the fact, of Earth as a little ball, I would say that allows you to do it while we're here on Earth. There's allowed me to do it, is to see things very clearly that I was so stuck in the weeds. And I think when you're stuck in the weeds and you're this hedonistic treadmill, as most entrepreneurs, when they're operating like that, like I was, I always thought the next thing, the next accomplishment, the next number is going to make me happy, when in fact it won't. The true happiness comes from the elevated consciousness, being able to look back and have a greater clarity on what true love and abundance is. Yeah.
And I love what's clear to me, and just the way you talk and the way you present, there's pure joy and aliveness coming from you. Mm-hmm. And this is what's available. Like when somebody gets on this path of like just digging in and raising their consciousness, removing the human ego as much as possible, or not removing it, but like just calming it down. That's what's available. It's like operating from a very clear, very grounded place that you choose and you create your own life truly, as opposed to being completely unaware that you're not creating your own life. And, energy, increased energy, aliveness, joy, like that's what drives everything. It's incredible.
And back at you, man. I mean, even meeting you at Burning Man, you just had this energy. And then today, you always have a smile on your face. And you're just exuding like great energy. And it is contagious, right?
It's contagious.
And complaining is contagious. People loving and being happy and having a high vibrational state is also contagious.
Yeah. And like a lot of people, maybe a lot of people that are listening to this podcast, they hear spiritual path or spirituality and they think religion or something like that, buying into yet another narrative. And what it is, those of us that have gone down this path, is when you literally just start digging in with yourself and learning, why am I this way in this situation? And what caused me to react that way? Like learning those things about yourself. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and the process of learning those things many times clears it out and no longer has a grip on you. And that's what it is. And the deeper you go inside, the deeper you start to understand how all of this shit works, and you can see it all, and then you can start to manifest and create whatever. This is why I have a smile on my face, because I love talking and connecting with people that also see this and have experienced it and are going down that path. So
yeah, I think you bring up a great point. The spirituality piece, I was so turned off by anything that was, spiritual to me, just reminded me of the dogma of my Lutheran church.
Exactly. Yep.
part of. And now I've learned, my spiritual walk is a very individual one, without judgment of how anybody. And listen, I think organized religion, it's an important place for a lot of people to land,
Yep.
and that's how they process. And that there's one thing that I came to a realization is that all religions have something in common, and they don't even realize it. And that is, no one is arguing we had different sources. We all have the same source.
Yep.
So when you start to operate under the belief that there's one single, now we all will fight, have wars over our version of how that all played out, but no one is arguing we have multiple sources. And I had so much power in the knowledge that we all came from the same creator. And then it's up to us to decide what version of that, we're comfortable with believing.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad is, he's still alive. He's 83. And I was with him not too long ago. And I said, Dad, I got to share something with you. I said, when you die, I'm going to miss you, but I'm not going to mourn you, because I know where you're going and it's awesome. He goes, I don't believe that. And I go, good, great news is you don't need to.
Yeah.
You're going to end up in the same place, whether you're right or I'm right. But
Yeah.
I believe strongly that you're in for quite a treat, because you have no expectations.
Right. Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. And the same is true if he is right. And, if he believes in heaven or whatever. Oh, I guess he's an atheist, you said.
He's an atheist. Yeah.
Yeah.
He believes we become warm food, and that's it.
Yeah. And I've spoken to people that are very religious, a lot of my family included. I was raised very religious, and, this path allows that, just because it's coming from freedom. So whatever you choose, just like what you're saying. So let me ask you, you are starting to have and create this big impact with other business leaders, and hosting these retreats, and eventually building a retreat center and all that. What's your goal? What's your vision long term? What impact are you looking to make?
Yeah. So the initial impact, Matt, is for example, at the gathering, we raised a little north of $1 million for coral restoration. So feeding the world, kind of, clean water and mental wellness. Those are the three focuses that we have today. But ultimately, I'd like to bring thought leaders from all over the world together. I want to think of, Davos for humanity. The Davos that happens in Davos, Switzerland now. And I want to start with bringing these communities together and really living and being the change that we want to see. I think the timing is perfect. I think people are more frustrated than they've ever been. There's more anxiety than they've ever been. There's the least amount of trust for our leaders than we've ever had. And I think where these movements have fallen flat before is the ego comes back in. So how do we come together let's focus on all the things we can agree on. And my ultimate vision in my lifetime, because we have enough. I believe every human, I'm going to start sounding like a socialist or a communist, but I don't mean to. But I believe every person that's born on this planet should be entitled to food, water, shelter, and basic education. So think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that we should be able to get to the second rung, on the ladder. And then it's up to you if you want to go for it. If you want to ascend higher, if you want to do the work, I can fully honor and respect those that say, hey, I just want to live a life of, just basic subsistence. And that's all I really care about. Yeah. But there's others like, hey, I want a lot more. I want to have a bigger house. I want to have an X, but I'm willing to go for it. But I think everybody ought to have the shot to make that decision, because I don't believe we're in a world today where everybody has that shot. I was given that shot because I was the time when I was born into America. I could literally cold call out of a phone book. You couldn't do that today with caller ID and all of that.
Right.
And so I could just grind it away from ground zero to make it. And then you look at other parts of the world. the number of kids that are dying of starvation every day and of dirty water. And then coming back to the mental wellness. I mean, we had 2 friends this year commit suicide that one was a 12-year-old boy and the other,
Oh my God.
Someone who's in their early 40s. Absolutely no sign at all, Matt. Like I had friends that were with them the day before at a concert, or one in particular, and then all of a sudden, they're gone. Wow. And as I'm digging in and more people are coming to the ranch, I'm realizing a lot of people that are insanely successful are suffering in silence, and they've got a lot of anxiety. So my mother was manic depressive. My mom was either, up for 3 days straight, in a manic, or she was in bed, or she was hospitalized. And so I was able to add a first row seat of seeing just how debilitating mental illness can be. So I'm starting with that. And like, there's wins that we're having right now in those areas, but ultimately I want to create a new standard, a new set of leaders that we can agree on better ways of the world interacting with. That's the ultimate goal. And my wife and I are leaving almost all of our money to our foundation in order to perpetuate this for many generations. We just did our family constitution, which is around really outlining behaviors and outcomes that we would like to see from any family member that wants to be involved with it for as many generations out as our resources can last. And I'm doing a lot of things today, whether it's, organic farming, this total transcendental living coaching business, to where we can generate at least a break even, so this stuff can sustain itself, until we're living the change that we all desire. And I know you're in Panama. I hope to sign a letter of intent in the next day or two to actually have some land down there. I think it's a beautiful place. I love the community that's being created. By the way, I was in Miami last week and I met the gentleman who signed the agreement on the copper mine.
No way. Are you kidding?
Yeah. He was the assistant finance minister. And he said, he signed it. He still thinks it was a good deal for the country. He goes, but his wife is on the other side of it. He goes, it makes for an interesting household conversation.
Yeah, it has. I guess it has started hitting global news, but for those listeners that haven't seen it yet, this entire country has been on protest because of this mining deal with the government that they would have rights to mine many acres throughout this whole country, which a lot are concerned that it will destroy the land here. But I think it should hopefully be worked out here in the next month sometime. But it's been a real eye opener. Like the people of Panama are not afraid to stand up against their government.
Well, and I mean, just think what it means to the country. I think the country gets like close to 350 million a year. But to arbitrate this thing, I was reading an article today that said it could cost Panama $50 billion. Wow. Like with the penalties and everything else in it, and it's even gone to the Supreme Court. But because they would not follow through the contract, basically. Yes.
Default.
Yeah.
Wow.
About invalidating the contract, but it brings up a whole other issue. I mean, we talk about this; it's in the news all the time. But yeah, I was out in Arizona for Thanksgiving. I was in Miami last week. I mean, it's building going on everywhere, and we are depleting everything we have. And did you see? Oh my gosh, Kiss the Soil? Anyways, it's a great documentary on what's going on just with farming practices. It's another reason I'm so committed to switching over, because right now I grew up as a monocropper. Most of our operation is still monocropping, but we're like, how do we make in a large scale way? How do we convert to organic? Because it not only is better for the human to consume, but it also sequesters tons of. It's the only way we can really reduce the carbon in the atmosphere. Kiss the Ground is the name of the documentary.
Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, I've seen it. I haven't watched it yet, so
you'll enjoy it. And then I'm trying to think of Jason Ticky, maybe. He has Common Ground, which is out in theaters right now. So watch Kiss the Ground. I haven't seen Common Ground yet, but anyways, there's all of these issues. It's why I'm excited, though, that people in Panama are willing to fight for what's right, even at the cost, the monetary cost that it's going to cost the country. And there's got to be a balance there. But I feel like we got to be way, way better stewards of our planet than we're doing right now. And it have been for the last really 100 years.
Yeah, well, I'm down in Panama because one of the reasons is because I'm working on this housing project. We bought 12 acres above a semi-private beach down here. And part of our community that we're building, we're going to be building a organic food farm greenhouse that can be shared amongst the 12 homes I'm building and some other regenerative ways of development. My goal is that our project becomes so wildly successful and accepted that the practices that we do, like instead of septic tanks, we're going to be using this filtration system that cleans gray and black water so much that it can be redirected back out to the food farm and to water our plants and things like that, that everyone in this community goes, holy shit, that works so well and it's not any more expensive or that much more expensive to do. This has become the new standard, in this area. So excited for that.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah. You got to get down here again. You were here a couple months back, yeah?
Yes, and I'll be back again the beginning of next year. So how far are you from, is it Playa Venal? How far are you from there?
So I live in Playa Venal. My project is literally right on the border between Playa Venal and Cañas. If you remember where that is?
I don't. No.
It's the next town over. So like from the center of Playa Venal, that gas station that's right in the center, it's 10 minutes door to door to my land. So it's right there.
All right. Well, I'll be down and I would love to, if you're around, I'd love to get a tour.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Great. So I like to end these things by throwing out some rapid fire questions so that I and the listeners can get to know you more on a personal level and really what drives you and things like that. So let's go into that. What is your favorite technology that you use on a daily basis or often?
My iPad.
Okay. iPad.
Yeah, I don't have a computer.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Just I used to say, it can't be done on my iPhone or on my iPad, I don't need to do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Nice. How about any individual that has had a very big impact on you and your life as far back as you can remember?
My mother. Yeah, my mother. I mean, even when I was little, she was always such a positive influence. Like, you can do anything you want to do. I remember her telling my pediatrician when I was little, he's going to play in the NFL someday. And he goes, well, the odds of that are very slim. She goes, don't listen to him, Ronnie. Don't listen. He doesn't know.
Oh, man, it's incredible. What position did you play in Nebraska?
Defensive end.
Oh, wow.
That was a lot bigger then.
A lot of running,
Yeah.
How about, let's see, how about any book or books that you really recommend had a big impact on you?
My gosh, like Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich or Outwitting the Devil on the business side. I love Nelson Mandela's book, Long Walk to Freedom. And actually some community members that were just at the gathering, they brought the Becoming book. I don't know if you know.
I've heard of Becoming. Yeah.
It's an awesome book. It's a really good book. And I would strongly recommend listening to it. And I got a good interview at the end. And they're building a really powerful community in Mexico. Really cool couple, B and Azria. And so I just got done with it over this weekend and really enjoyed that. And I'm a voracious reader. So I always got several books going.
Yeah. I just started the Kabbalah. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
It's basically the 7 Hermetic principles that, like, the Greek god Hermes, or I guess he was an actual individual that walked on this planet, but way before like even Greek god times, he basically started preaching about the laws of the universe. There's 7. And it's just fascinating. It's as the deeper I go, the more of these things kind of just start getting downloaded into my psyche somehow. And I'm reading these and I'm going, yes, this is exactly what I,
What's
talk about or think about.
Spell it for me.
It's called the Kabbalia, Kabbalia, I believe.
Okay,
I'll double check that. I'll send you a picture of it. I'll take a picture of it.
Your recommendation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Last question. What is your superpower?
I can see the potential in people that they can't see in themselves.
Wow. How do you act on that?
Well, I build a company around it. I think as a CEO,
a great answer.
Yeah. I mean, really a CEO is strategy, vision, and then that's the easy part, right? The hard part is identifying the right people in the right spots and supporting them, motivating them to help them be even more than they think they can be. I think every day we get up, we compete against our own potential. And most days we come up short. We don't come close to our full potential. And I'm a big believer in this work we're doing now. And I was doing that without all the tools that I have today. And I just look at the people that have come through the Healing Ranch, Matt, with now all these additional tools that I have and the way I'm helping them think. I have so many people on fire. My sister being one of them. My sister struggled with weight her entire life. She is health-wise, she's on fire. She's sleeping 9 hours a night. She goes, Ronnie, I haven't slept forever. And I've been working with her for the last 3 years. And I said to her husband, they've been together almost as long as Jeannie and I have. I said, his nickname's Donut. His name's Randy, but we call him Donut. Yeah. I said, man, Rhonda is doing so well. He goes, I know. I feel like I have a girlfriend now.
That's incredible.
Just because her energy, and she has a perpetual smile on her face all the time. And, you know, the doctors were really worried that we're going to suffer from the same thing my mother had. And she does quite a bit more than I do. But we both are very aware of it. And so really protective of our psyche and our energy.
Yeah. What can you pinpoint what it is you see in someone? Is it the soul behind the ego? Is it like, what is it?
I think it's different for different people. Matt. Okay. Like I'll just give Rhonda's a good example. She just was resigned to just living this life where she really didn't have a lot of joy and happiness in it. And I was like, now there's another way we can do this. If you just trust me, let me take you on this journey. I can get you there. The other is, meeting entrepreneurs now that are grinding hard and have no joy. I had no joy and happiness in my life, but they've got all kinds of resources. And I can see it. There's these there's signs of what that looks like. Yeah. Or even right next door to me here, there's a young guy that joined the firm quite a few years ago, and I pushed him into a leadership position. He came back and turned it down, and I said, "You can really do this, and I'll support you doing this." And he's one of our top performers, at Carson Group today. Incredible. So I think I have an eye for it. I can see and develop talent, and then I can also see when people are like, "This is as far as I want to go, and I'm going to go, and I'm not pushable. I'm not open to other levels of success for me and opening those channels of joy and happiness for myself."
You just have to kind of accept that and move on.
You do.
Yeah. Because it's a good point. Like not everyone's going to be open to stepping outside their comfort zone and experiencing what's on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So I lied. One more question to just keep in mind. Where would you say you are specifically with your internal journey, with your spiritual journey? Like what's the next? We're a constant layers of onions, right? There's always more layers. What's the next? What are you seeking for yourself? What's that next breakthrough you're looking to have?
So I just had this conversation yesterday with my daughter, who Maddie works with me at the Healing Ranch, and I went down and trained. So the biggest psychedelic experience I've ever had is with Bufo. And have you had Bufo before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. And I've done it. I've sat with it 4 times now, and every time has been infinitely bigger than the time before, like not even close. And I went and I trained because I it's something that I want to serve, and I want to serve it in a legal place like Mexico. And I went with the Seri tribe, which they use it as their sacrament. And I was out on the beach with their medicine man.
Wow.
And had the biggest experience I had. And I want to share something that's kind of out there. I don't speak Spanish. I barely speak English. I tell people like I'm still working on my one language.
Yeah.
But I was at a state, and by the way, the Seris don't speak Spanish. They speak Seri. And up until 100 years ago, they were actually the Mexican government. There was a bounty. If you had a Seri scalp, they actually paid you for it. This is this is a small community. There's only 2,000, I think, people left in the tribe, and their chief and abject poverty and really tough conditions. But he served me Bufo a few months ago, and he started talking and singing, and I was able to experience everything. Well, we think about what's beyond the beyond, the beyond, the beyond. And I had returned home in such a big way. And I'm convinced that, and I could speak a language, I was able to communicate fluently with him.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It wasn't his language. It was in creation, a total language, just through vibration and different ways of grunting and some words. And that's my next thing is once people feel or taste home, there's no you can never not know that.
Yeah. You can never not know that. I love that.
Never not know that.
Yeah. I have versions of what you're talking about. I've tasted that. I've seen it. So I feel you. And it's incredible.
To your point, that's why I asked if you had done it. If you hadn't, there's no words to possibly explain what we experience.
Yeah. So that one in particular, Bufo, I've done one time. And unfortunately, the facilitator, the way he was having me inhale was like wasting a lot of it, like really slow and long breath. And I should have just inhaled like I do. And so I didn't go as deep as I know you can. So I need to do that one again. But the most profound, furthest I've ever gone is also in Mexico. And it was with something called Tepescohuite. Incredible experience, but it kind of unlocked. I think it unlocked one of my gifts in terms of what I can offer the world now, which is incredible. So,
what is your superpower?
My superpower is actually similar to yours, and the way I articulate it is that I can see authenticity or inauthenticity. I can see where someone or feel when someone is has ego driving something or the way of being or speaking. I can see behind it and see the true soul. So and actually what I'm going to be starting to do, I've already really started doing it down here in this community. This is a very highly conscious community down in Playa Venal. It's really beautiful to be a part of. And we're all just elevating each other in so many ways. But there's an industry that does not currently exist, and I think it's so important that it exists, is people go off and they have these incredible plant medicine experiences, or even no medicine. Maybe it's just some transformational workshop they did that just had mind-blowing experience. What's not really offered in a structured way is integration. Mm-hmm. So I might go and have this incredible experience, blasting my mind wide open, and then I have all these answers, but no one to ask them to, no one to help really shape what did I experience. And I've been, my journey, I've been kind of, digging into this for so long. I think I have, unique capability to really offer some insights from a viewpoint that's, quite aware and open, that it's, really something that I want to start offering in a big way. putting ideas.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
right. You're right, because you open people wide open, and then what's next? And we actually have, for anybody on this, we have a community connect call once a month where we all get together. We have different speakers. We've had Deepak, we've had Rick Doblin on, we had Dr. Andrew Vidic on meditation. And it's a great way just for the community to come together and even sharing. And there's lots of events that we do as well. And so
incredible.
Anybody, wants help, you just want to be in that. When someone comes through this experience and they're wide open and then they go back to their normal life, they're like, wait a minute, this is not what I want. But slowly but surely you get to replace the players and the places and the things with your new world.
Yep.
But you need to have an integration process for that to actually be possible.
And I love that you offer that. And we'll put a link or something in this when we post this. But it's so important to stay in the conversation so that it actually sticks, having an experience and then going back to the default, way of being and the default world, and having everyone else that's not elevated or not aware or conscious, just, throw more shit on top of you. It's like, oh, I guess I'm just doing this again. So important to stay involved, in the conversation. I love that you offer that. So that actually reminds me, before we wrap, what's the best way for, what do you want people, the listeners, to know about, like this call to join or anything else? How can people get in touch with you or see what you're up to?
I'm the one social media platform I'm on is LinkedIn. So anybody out there that's on LinkedIn, I handle all of my LinkedIn. I handle all of my messages on LinkedIn, or they can reach out to me on WhatsApp as well. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, we'll put a link. And then what's the, you have written 4 books? How many?
Well,
2 books?
I've written 6, and I just wrote the only one I really wanted to write, and that was the whole story that we talked about.
So what's the name of that book? Because I want to put a link to it so people can check it out.
Yeah, well, it's not out, and it may be a year or 2 coming out, because there's so much. It's so dynamic right now in my life, but I at least wanted to get my rough draft out in case something happened to me. I transitioned early to the new world, but. I've really enjoyed doing it. I think it was therapeutic for me too, to get it all out on paper.
Yeah, incredible. Okay. Well, I'm very excited to see and watch this transition that you're making. It's like an ever-changing creation that you're up to, and so excited to hear, you have such a vibrant driver personality. I have no doubt you're going to make massive waves in this space. And so I very much appreciate letting me ask the questions and hearing your story.
Thank you, man. I literally, I can't wait to see you, and maybe we can set together when I'm in Panama. So,
Great.
All right, man.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
day.
Ron. You
Take
too.
care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.